A couple of weeks ago I decided I needed a break from work. I wanted to escape from screens and tech for a while. I love hiking but didn't have much experience camping alone. So, I picked a remote spot in the Appalachian Mountains, hoping for some peace and beautiful views. The first night was normal enough. I set up my tent and built a small campfire. The wind rustled through the trees. I roasted a few marshmallows and settled down with a book. As the fire flickered, I noticed strange shadows at the edge of my campsite. I thought it was just the firelight playing tricks on my tired eyes. But the feeling that I was being watched wouldn't leave me. The hair on the back of my neck stood up. Eventually, I pushed it aside and went to sleep, blaming my fatigue. The next day, I went for a long hike. I tried to enjoy the scenery, but that feeling of unease clung to me. When I got back to camp, I thought I saw my backpack moved closer to the fire than where I left it. I shook it off, convincing myself that I was careless in my packing. I felt exhausted and crawled into my tent early. Around midnight, I woke to something that sent my heart racing. Footsteps. I strained to listen. The forest was quiet, and then I heard laughter in the distance. It sent chills down my spine. I sat up thinking maybe it was a fellow camper. But there was nothing. I found myself in eerie silence. I felt stupid for being scared. I was a grown man after all. The second night was worse. As I sat by the fire, I noticed that the animals weren't acting right. A group of squirrels stopped moving altogether, just staring at me. It was as if they were waiting for something. I felt their little eyes on me, making my stomach churn. I tried to focus on my phone, but I had no service. I thought about calling for help, but felt that being alone was part of my problem. When I finally went to sleep, I was sure I heard laughter again. It was closer this time, and it made me question my grasp on reality. Was I going crazy? Each day blurred into a fog of tension and fear, and I knew I should leave. On the last night, I felt I couldn't take it anymore. I looked around the dark woods, and that's when I saw something moving. Just a shadow flickering between the trees. I didn't want to believe it, but my instinct screamed that something was out there. Taking a deep breath, I whispered into the darkness, "Hello? Is anyone there?" My voice trembled as I gripped the flashlight tightly. The beam sliced through the night, landing on nothing. Then came the realization that hit me like a punch in the gut. I wasn't alone, not anymore. As the shadow shifted, I felt a new wave of panic. My heart raced as I decided to confront whatever was stalking me. With shaky legs, I stepped toward the shadows, whispering, "Show yourself." I waited, breathless. In that tense silence, something stirred again, and I felt a chill run down my spine. I stood there, ready but uncertain of what I might face next. My eyes adjusted to the darkness, and my pulse thrummed in my ears. I strained to hear any sound that would give away the entity hiding just beyond my flashlight's reach. My mind raced with possibilities. Was it a bear? A person? Or something even worse? I took one more cautious step forward. That's when I saw it. A faint glow flickering between the trees. It was a soft, ethereal light, dancing as if it were alive. It contrasted sharply with the surrounding darkness, and I felt drawn to it against my better judgment. Could it be some sort of guide, leading me out of this nightmare? But then came the laughter again, echoing off the trees. It was a haunting sound, a child's laughter twisted into something sinister. The glow pulsated, seemingly in sync with the laughter. I felt trapped between instinct and curiosity. I wanted to run, but my feet felt glued to the ground. Taking a deep breath, I yelled, "Who's there?" The moment the words left my lips, the laughter stopped. Silence enveloped me once more. I turned, half expecting to see some playful spirit or maybe a lost hiker stepping out to greet me. Instead, I faced a wall of darkness, my tent just a few feet away, feeling like a flimsy barrier against whatever haunted this place. The glow flickered again, more insistently this time. I felt my heart drop as I made a choice. I would go toward that light. Maybe it could lead me to safety. I took a hesitant step forward and then another, my hand still clutching the flashlight. As I got closer, the air grew colder. I shivered and hurried my pace. Just as I reached the edge of the glowing light, it vanished, leaving me in complete darkness. My breath caught in my throat. I stood frozen, the silence almost deafening. Suddenly a rustle echoed behind me, sharp and loud. I spun around, my instincts jolting into survival mode. The flashlight quivered in my grip as I aimed it toward the sound. I blinked against the sudden brightness, my eyes searching the blackness for any movement. In that moment I caught a glimpse of something, an outline darting away, perhaps a deer or even a figure. Whatever it was, it moved too quickly to identify. My mind raced with questions. Who or what was out there? Why was I being watched? Then, before I could think, a branch snapped loudly to my right. I turned, but it was too late. A sharp pain suddenly coursed through my ankle, and I stumbled. The world spun as I lost my balance, falling painfully to the ground. Get up, I thought, panic flooding my body. I pushed myself back to my feet, heart pounding again. My ankle throbbed, but I couldn't stop. I had to get back to my tent, back to what felt safe. As I sprinted toward it, I felt a rush of adrenaline, but also dread. What if whatever hunted me decided to follow? I burst into my tent, eyes wild as I zipped it shut behind me. The darkness was suffocating. I pressed my back against the fabric, my breathing ragged. Outside I heard the laughter again, this time not distant but right at the edge of the campsite. I lay there, paralyzed, and then I realized, if I was going to survive this, I needed to know. I took a deep breath and reached for the flashlight, determined to confront whatever awaited me. What I discovered outside would change everything. I unzipped the tent slowly, each movement deliberate, holding my breath. The air outside felt sharp against my skin. I hesitated on the threshold, the eerie laughter echoing bright in my mind. I pointed the flashlight into the darkness, my hand shaking. The beam illuminated the area around my campsite. Everything looked normal, my gear, some scattered leaves, and the faint outline of the trees. But I could feel something was wrong. The laughter faded, replaced by an unsettling quiet that clawed at my nerves. I stepped out, biting back the fear bubbling in my chest. I had to find out where the sound came from. I moved slowly, flashlight beam sweeping across the ground. Then, I noticed something odd. There were small footprints in the soft earth, something child-sized leading away from my tent. I knelt down, my heart racing again. Was a child really out here? I'd seen no sign of anyone when I arrived. The prints went deeper into the woods. I hesitated. Should I follow or turn back? Just then a rustle came from behind me, a sound of movement that made my stomach drop. I spun around, flashlight cutting through the dark. Nothing. No one was there. I felt the urge to bolt, but I fought it. Taking a deep breath, I turned back to the prints. My curiosity was overpowering my fear. I followed them a few steps, careful not to make a sound. The laughter echoed again, this time closer, sinister and mocking. It sent a chill down my spine. As I walked, the trees seemed to close in around me. The trail of footprints led to a clearing. The moonlight broke through the trees, lighting up the damp ground. There was something there, a small pile of sticks and leaves. I approached, my heart in my throat, and then I saw it. A shiny object peeking out, half buried beneath the debris. I knelt down, curiosity getting the better of me. I brushed away the dirt, revealing a small wooden doll, almost lifelike, with a twisted grin painted on its face. It felt wrong, like it had been made for trickery rather than play. I picked it up, the sudden rush of cold intensifying around me. I turned, expecting to see something behind me. What I found was worse. The silhouettes of figures emerged from the edge of the trees, their forms flickering in the shadows. The laughter returned, now rising in pitch, filling the air with a sick sense of glee. I felt my blood run cold. There were at least 3 of them. Children, I thought, their faces hidden in the dark. Yet their laughter felt threatening, a cruel invitation to join their game. I could still hear my heart pounding in my ears as I dropped the doll, realizing too late that I had disturbed something far beyond my understanding. "Run!" I shouted at myself, but my legs felt rooted to the spot. Instead, I took a step back, my flashlight beam now trembling as I aimed it at the figures. Their forms flickered, broken and twisted in the diffused light, and just as quickly as they had appeared, they backed away into the shadows. Panic surged through me. I turned and sprinted back towards my tent, knowing I had to escape whatever this was. As I reached the tent, I looked back one more time, my eyes scanning the edge of the woods. The laughter rang out again, louder, more triumphant, echoing in the night. Inside, I zipped the tent shut, frantically looking for a way to hide. Whatever I had stumbled upon was not just an odd encounter. I had awakened something, and I could still hear the distant laughter, hinting that this night was far from over. I huddled against my pack, pulse racing, knowing I could no longer ignore that I wasn't alone out here. The darkness beyond my flimsy tent felt alive, and that laughter wouldn't stop. What I had uncovered was just the beginning. Sitting in the tent felt stifling, like the walls were closing in around me. I shivered, the laughter still echoing in my ears, climbing over my skin like insects. Deep down, I knew I couldn't stay put. Whatever those children were, they weren't harmless. I needed a plan. I scanned the tent, looking for a familiar object. I found my pocket knife, which seemed pitiful in the face of whatever I had disturbed, but it was better than nothing. I took a deep breath, trying to steady the frantic beating of my heart. I needed to figure this out. The laughter cut through my thoughts again, more menacing, and I realized I could no longer hear the sounds of nature around me. The chirping crickets were gone, replaced with that chilling mirth. I unzipped the tent just enough to peek outside, flashlight still clenched tightly in my fist. The clearing appeared different now, darker, more sinister. I heard whispers between the laughter, words just out of reach. I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to block out the sound, but curiosity clawed at me again. I needed to know what was happening. With a single push, I slipped out of the tent, trying to make as little noise as possible. The cold air hit me sharper than before, and I stepped into the unknown. The beam of my flashlight scanned the area, landing on the pile of sticks and leaves where I'd found the doll. It was still there, untouched. I felt a pull toward it, but caution held me back. As I shifted my weight, I heard it, a quiet shuffling from behind me. My breath caught in my throat. When I turned, my flashlight caught a glimpse of a small figure in the shadows, just beyond the trees. It looked like one of the children from before, though it felt wrong, as if it were just a shadow of what a child should be. "Come play with us," it called, its voice warped, echoing slightly. My stomach lurched. I took a step back, wanting to run but feeling tethered to the spot. The figure darted deeper into the woods, laughter ringing out once more, and I felt an icy grip on my heart. That was it. I was done playing. I tightened my grip on the flashlight and sprinted back to my tent. As I reached it, my foot caught on something, a root, a rock I didn't know. I stumbled, feeling my body tilt dangerously forward. My flashlight went out, plunging me into darkness. I scrambled to turn it back on, but the cold settled around me, almost tangible. In that instant, I heard the laughter again, much closer. I finally got the flashlight working, and the beam shot through the blackness, revealing movement at the edge of the trees. More figures, shadows coalescing, eyes glinting with mischief. Their laughter crescendoed, a haunting symphony that filled the air. Then everything went still. The laughter faded, leaving an eerie silence. But something was coming. I could feel it, seeping from the trees like a slow tide. I backed into the tent again, ready to zip it shut. But my eyes caught something through the opening, a small light, flickering as if drawing me in. I froze. It was not the moon. It was a soft, pulsing glow coming from the direction of the clearing. Without thinking, I stepped forward, my curiosity overpowering my fear. I felt like a moth drawn to a flame, unaware of the peril that awaited me. The pulsing light beckoned me closer, and I couldn't help but take another step forward. The chill of the night air faded temporarily as warmth radiated from it. I glanced back at the tent, knowing I should run, but something kept me rooted in place. I had to see what was generating that glow. As I moved into the clearing, the trees parted slightly, revealing a circle of soft luminescence. My flashlight flickered over the clearing, and as I stepped further in, I realized the source of the light wasn't just a continuously glowing stone or lantern. It was a collection of small glass orbs, perfectly spherical and hovering just above the ground. They flickered and danced like fireflies, illuminating the space and casting strange shadows that twisted like wraiths along the ground. I knelt down, captivated by the spectacle before me. Reach out and touch one, I thought, but the last remnants of my fear pulled me back. The laughter drifted around me again, this time mingled with soft, melodic whispers. "Take it. Play with us," they seemed to sing, teasing and coaxing me. I hesitated, my heart pounding in my chest. "Who are you?" I called out, my voice sounding small and fragile against the night. The laughter responded with a ripple of giggles, and I could almost feel eyes watching from the shadows. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but there was an irresistible draw to the orbs. Suddenly a movement caught my eye. One of the shadows was stepping into the light, and to my horror I recognized the child from before, the one that had called to me. This time its features were not just shadowy outlines. I could make out wide, dark eyes that seemed far too large for its face, and glistening skin that shimmered slightly in the dim glow. "Come join us," it said again, its voice a sickening blend of innocence and something darker. I wanted to look away, but I couldn't. An instinct to flee tightened my throat, but the orbs behind me were whispering, urging me forward. "Please," I choked out. "What do you want?" The child simply smiled, revealing too many teeth, and pointed toward the glowing orbs. Before I could move, a sudden chill washed over me, fluttering the leaves above. The shadows seemed to close in, and chaotic giggles erupted from the darkness. I spun around, feeling the air thickening, smothering. Desperation surged through me, and I stumbled back toward the tree line. Just as I reached the edge, the warm light flickered, and in an instant darkness swallowed the clearing. My flashlight brightened for a heartbeat, but then dimmed, fading into the overwhelming black. I was spinning. The laughter had transformed into a cacophony, echoing in my ears, drowning me in chaos. I had to get out. I turned, running blindly into the woods, branches snatching at my clothing, footfalls frantic on the uneven ground. I pushed past the creeping dread, thoughts racing. Were those children real? Or were they something else entirely? Then I tripped over a root and crashed to the ground. My flashlight rolled away, the beam fading as I gasped for breath. I was alone. But the laughter returned, close behind me, sinister and mocking. I crawled backward, trying to find my footing, but the darkness closed in. I didn't just have to escape the forest, I had to escape whatever was chasing me. I finally pushed myself up to my knees, scrambling to find my fallen flashlight. The tiniest glimmer of its beam barely illuminated a space around me, and I was met with thick black shadows stretching back into the woods. I couldn't hear the laughter anymore, but the weight of the silence felt oppressive. Swallowing hard, I forced myself to look around. The sense of being watched was stronger than ever. Every crack and rustle made my pulse race. I had to figure out where I was going, but the path back to the camp seemed to have vanished, swallowed by the gnarled trees. Then, glancing to my side, I saw it. A luminous orb, just a few feet away, drifting closer in the enveloping darkness, glowing brighter than the rest. My breath caught. I knew I shouldn't, but the need for light drew me in. I reached out, fingers grazing its surface. In an instant, the world around me shifted. The orb pulsed under my touch, and a rush of images flooded my mind. Spectral visions of children playing, laughter echoing through the trees, then faces twisted in terror. I jerked my hand back, staggering as the visions faded. I could almost feel the heartbeat of the orb, no longer just a glowing ball, but a sentient presence. "What are you?" I whispered, searching the darkness for some sign of an answer. The orb pulsed again, and I felt a tingle in the air, almost like a promise lingering just beyond reach. I was terrified, yet I couldn't shake the feeling that it was trying to communicate. That's when I heard it, a rustling to my left. Panic surged as I spun around, flipping my flashlight beam in that direction. I gasped as I saw the child again, standing just within the brush. It was closer now, eyes wide and unblinking, the smile fading into a thin line. The surrounding shadows thickened, seeming to flicker with life. "Why are you here?" it asked, voice less playful now, more demanding. Each word felt like a pull on my mind, urging me to answer. A fog of dread settled over me. I didn't mean to disturb you, I stammered, looking for reasons, any justification, that might save me. I just got lost. Lost, it echoed softly, tilting its head. You're not the first. Another shiver ran through me. What did that mean? I didn't want to think too much about it. Before I could respond, the child flicked its wrist, and the other orbs around us began to swirl like a cyclone of color and light. I felt my heart race as they spun faster, the laughter returning now mixed with the unsettling whispers from before. Join us! The child beckoned, its tone shifting between sweet and sinister. The glowing orbs spun closer, the laughter rising to a fever pitch, drowning out my thoughts. I couldn't breathe. I had to get away, but my feet felt heavy, rooted in place. I was on the edge of something that meant danger, something far beyond mere childish play. And then I saw it, the darkening corners of the clearing ripple like fabric pulled tight. I finally understood. This wasn't just about me at all. Whatever lived here was waiting, watching, and I could feel the hunger in the air. Stop! No! I shouted, breaking free of the paralysis just as the first orb shot toward me, light blinding in its ferocity. I bolted away, my instincts screaming. But then I stumbled over something solid, a line sharp against my fingers. I turned, breath hitching as I realized I was clutching a rusty metal rod partially buried in the ground. Was this a way out? Or a trap? Before I could decide, the laughter crescendoed and the darkness pressed in again. I had no choice but to fight through. Gripping the rod, I began to run. The shadows lunged after me, and somewhere in the chaos I heard the child's voice echo, "You can't escape." Each step felt like a leap through time, fear propelling me onward. I burst through the trees and emerged into a larger clearing. My heart raced as I took in the sight. It wasn't just an open space. That's when I saw it. An old crumbling signpost marked with faded names and arrows, some pointing towards familiar spots on the map. But one arrow was different, brand new, freshly carved, and pointing deeper into the woods. In that moment I realized, I may have been lost, but I was about to stumble into something far darker. The air felt electric as I stood frozen, staring at the signpost. My instincts screamed at me to turn back, to flee from this place that felt as if it were alive, as if it were waiting to swallow me whole. But the new arrow, barely visible in the dim light, pulled at something deep inside me. Against my better judgment, I stepped closer. The carving on the sign felt fresh, as if it had just been done. My fingers traced over the letters, feeling the jagged edges where they hadn't yet worn smooth. Deeper woods, it read, beckoning me into its inevitable darkness. As my flashlight beam flicked across the clearing, the shadows danced, and the haunting chants of unseen children rippled through the trees. I forced my eyes away from the sign, reminding myself I wasn't alone. I had to find a way out. But where? The path back was slipping away with each passing second. With a shaky breath, I turned and took off toward the part of the woods I had just emerged from. I sprinted, weaving through trees, desperate for anything that resembled a trail. Then a voice sliced through the air, crystal clear and sharp. "Why are you leaving?" The child's voice echoed behind me. My heart raced as I spun around, wishing I hadn't. The small figure stood at the edge of the clearing, now surrounded by other faint silhouettes. Their eyes glimmered in the low light like reflections off dark water. I felt that pull again, stronger this time, a magnetic force urging me closer. The orbs danced around the child, swirling in a hypnotic rhythm that made it hard to think, hard to breathe. "You could have fun with us," the child coaxed, tilting its head as if curious. "We play here all the time." "Fun?" I barely managed to say, my voice trembling. "Is that what you call it? Join us." Their words surged through me like an echo, mixing with the wild laughter that sent chills down my spine. Panic clawed at my throat. I took a half step back, but the figures advanced, like shadows creeping ever closer. I remembered the metal rod clutched tightly in my hand. It felt like my only tether to reality. Stay back, I shouted, brandishing it. I wasn't sure if it would help, but it was all I had. The air grew thicker, oppressive with their whispers. You'll never escape, they chimed in unison, their voices blending into a harmonious tune that tugged at my sanity. With every word, I felt my resolve weakening as though the environment was cleverly manipulating my fear. Why are you doing this? I shouted, backing away further. I needed answers, but all I got were grinning faces and shimmering lights. Their ominous energy loomed behind me, pushing me toward the dark path of the deeper woods. Then something unexpected happened. A sudden whoosh of wind, a sharp, biting gust that seemed to come from nowhere, dispersed the shadows momentarily. For a brief moment, I saw the clearing clearer, those twisted faces frozen in place. In that split second of clarity, I saw a break in the trees. My heart pounded fiercely as I made a choice not to look back. I took off again, sprinting toward the only glimmer of hope I could see. But the shadows rallied, forming a wave as I ran, and I could hear them more clearly now. Each step felt like I was dragging through mud, a dreadful sense of despair closing in. You can't leave us, their voices intertwined in frantic rhythm. Just when I thought the shadows would catch me, I burst through a narrow opening and everything changed. I stood before a hidden grove, its beauty unnaturally captivating. It felt like stepping into another world. Light streamed down through the trees, painting the ground in shades of gold and green. But my heart sank. Something about it felt dangerously tranquil. Then from behind me the children began to chant. Come back, they called, the melody twisting into an eerie lullaby. My pulse raced as I peered into the grove, hoping for salvation, but the pull of the laughter behind me coaxed me to look back. What I found made my stomach drop. The shadows stood at the edge of the grove, watching me intently, their faces once again contorted into horrific glee. I realized this was only the beginning. As I stepped further into the light, I knew I had to confront whatever waited beyond the trees, because the deeper I went, the more the true night was waiting for me. I stepped into the grove, feeling the warmth of sunlight hit my skin, but the laughter behind me remained a bone-chilling reminder of my surroundings. The shadows hung back, but I could sense them slowly creeping forward, eager to reclaim me. My heart pounded like a drum. As I moved deeper into the grove, I glanced around. Trees wrapped in vibrant flowers towered above me like guardians, but their beauty felt wrong, out of place. I was drawn to a clearing ahead where the sun blazed brilliantly, illuminating a circle of tall grass swaying in a gentle breeze. It was disarming, a stark contrast to the chaos I had just fled. But just as I approached the bright patch, I spotted something on the ground, an object half buried in the grass. I knelt down, brushing the blades aside. My breath caught in my throat. It was a small, rusted compass, a strange find for a place like this. The needle twitched erratically, spinning uncontrollably as if trying to navigate through this warped reality. Help us! A whisper came from behind, low and urgent. It was one of the children, now out of the shadows. You must help us find our way home. I straightened, panic flooding my veins as I glanced back toward the edge of the grove where others awaited, their expressions a mix of longing and desperation. Home? I managed to say, though doubt twisted my words. This isn't home for anyone. The child took a step closer, their small hand reaching out. You're not lost, you're chosen, they said, their voice dripping with innocence that made my skin crawl. Join us here where we can play forever. Before I could respond, a wind swept through the grove, knocking leaves into the air. The compass in my hand pulsed with energy, the needle finally settling in a direction that felt magnetic, almost alive. It pointed deeper into the grove, toward an arch of brambles that seemed to beckon and warn me in the same breath. I felt torn, caught between the twisted allure of staying and the instinct that told me to keep moving. The shadows behind me rustled, a reminder of their ominous presence, their laughter changing from playful to sinister. You can't resist forever, they taunted, eager for my surrender. I gripped the compass tightly, my mind racing. If I followed it, could it lead me to safety? Or would it pull me deeper into their trap? I looked at the child, seeing a flicker of desperation behind the facade of cheer. You can't make me stay, I declared, unsure if I was trying to convince myself or them. "Then you'll never leave," the voice from the shadows echoed, tinged with malice. In that moment of reckoning, I made my choice. Heart racing, I sprinted toward the brambles, ignoring the calls behind me. The whispers faded, replaced by the rustling branches and the thudding of my heartbeat. I had to know what lay ahead. But as I pushed through the thick underbrush, everything went dark. The light from the grove disappeared, swallowed whole by the shadows. And in that instant, I realized I wasn't alone anymore. I stumbled forward, breath hitching as I hit the ground. I fumbled for the compass. Perhaps there was still a way out. But around me, the quiet held a new weight, and the shadows circled closer, ensuring I wouldn't escape their grasp so easily. I was trapped, and the deeper I fell into this nightmare, the more questions emerged. What was really waiting for me? And was it too late to turn back? I lay still on the ground, the cool earth pressing against my back. Panic settled in, along with a realization. The shadows were everywhere. They curled around me like smoke, whispering unintelligible words, fueling my anxiety. I could taste the dampness in the air, a pungent reminder of the dark world that engulfed me. Gritting my teeth, I focused on finding the compass. My fingers brushed against the cold metal, and I clasped it tightly, letting its weight ground me. Breathing heavily, I tried to steady my racing heart. "Come on," I muttered under my breath, urging myself not to panic. "Think." The shadows flickered like flames, and I caught glimpses of movement out of the corner of my eye. I turned quickly, but just as fast the shadows melded back into the darkness, leaving me alone again. I crawled upward, fighting the fear that threatened to paralyze me. With effort, I lifted my head and looked around. The bramble thicket had transformed into a tangled web of darkness, each twisted branch looming above like a creature ready to pounce. I pushed myself into a standing position, steadying myself against a tree. The compass needle still quivered, pointing me toward an unseen path deeper into the unknown. "Is anyone there?" I called out, my voice sounding weak. There was no response, just the distant rustling of leaf-laden chaos. I forced myself to move, following the direction indicated by the compass. Each step felt like an act of defiance against the fear gnawing at me. Suddenly a faint sound reached my ears, a soft giggle, almost childlike. I froze, my blood running cold. It didn't come from the shadows or the trees. It was as if the laughter itself had taken a life of its own, buoying through the darkness. "Help us," the voice echoed again, playful yet tinged with something darker. "Who is there?" I tried again, then I saw it. A flicker of light, a firefly. But no, this was brighter, almost luminescent, darting among the trees ahead. Against my better judgment, I moved toward it, the compass guiding me through the shadows. As I approached whatever it was, the laughter grew louder. The warmth of the light washed over me, a deceptive glow in this menacing dark. It illuminated a clearing, yet another vibrant grove, but this one felt different. Flower petals glistened like jewels, and the air here buzzed with life. But it was the figures surrounding the light that made my breath catch. There were children, their eyes wide with a perverse joy. They danced around the flickering light, faces painted in hues that shifted like liquid shadows. They were enchanting and horrifying all at once, their movements fluid yet jerky, as if part of a twisted puppet show. "Come join us," one of them beckoned, a grin stretched across a face too wide, teeth too sharp. Panic surged back into my veins. I backed away slowly, my heart thundering at their rigged invitation. In that moment, I understood the truth. This wasn't merely about escape anymore. It felt like a twisted game, and I was at the center of it. I turned to run, getting lost in the shadows, knowing they would pursue me. The compass clutched tight. I barreled forward into the unknown chaos. But even amidst the frantic flight, I could hear the children's laughter echo after me, a chilling promise that this game was far from over. What had I stumbled into? And would I be able to find the exit before they found me? My breath quickened as I tore through the woods, my mind racing with panic and desperation. The laughter followed me, echoing through the trees, morphing into something that felt like a playful taunt. I didn't dare look back, but the shadows danced closer, an ever-encroaching darkness urging me to slow down, to give in, Just keep running, I muttered to myself, each footfall a reminder of how close I was to losing everything. The compass throbbed in my hand, almost alive with energy, its needle spinning wildly as I veered deeper into the woods. The path ahead was murky, overgrown, the familiar sounds of the forest drowned out by the echoes of taunting laughter. Panic sent me into a directionless sprint, every part of me screaming that the laughter was trying to lull me into a trap. Suddenly I stumbled. My foot caught on a root, sending me crashing into the ground. Pain shot through my ankle, but there was no time to dwell on it. Peering over my shoulder, I saw them. Faces in the shadows, their forms shifting as they giggled, inching closer with malice. I pushed myself back onto my feet, heart thundering in my chest, and pressed on though the pain flared hot in my ankle. The woods morphed around me, trees aligning as if they knew where I needed to go, where I would likely find a way out. The compass started to settle slightly, pointing toward a faint glimmer in the distance, a white flash of light that pulsed like a heartbeat. Could it be the way home? Or simply another cruel facade in this twisted game? Against my better judgment, I began to follow the light, the oppressive darkness peeling back with each step. The laughter faded, replaced by the tinkling of a stream, and the air began to lighten, making its way into my lungs. I turned off the flashlight, afraid it would reveal my position to the shadows lurking nearby. Stepping cautiously, I reached the light, my heart racing when I saw what it illuminated. A wide clearing drenched in luminous wildflowers, shining like stars beneath a moonless sky. In the center, a massive tree rose, its trunk gnarled yet majestic, bathed in ethereal glow, creating an aura that felt almost serene. "Trust us," a voice called, soft but insistent, shivering through the air. I turned, startled to see the child with wide eyes. Was it the same one I'd seen before? It beckoned me closer, the smile too wide, revealing rows of pointed teeth that glimmered like glass. The other children fluttered around as if caught in a dance, their laughter returning, but now it felt lighter, almost hypnotic. "Come play with us," they sang, drifting forward in an enchanting chorus. My heart raced in a mix of fear and an inexplicable urge to belong, to join their whimsical existence, yet I resisted the pull. I couldn't give in. I wasn't one of them. A moment passed, tension stretched taut between us as I fought against their lure. Backwards, I found my footing and slowly edged toward the shadows. "No, you can't leave," the child shouted, eyes blazing. With a swift movement, the others extended their arms, shadows creeping like vines towards me. "You must stay." Ignoring the chilling command, I turned and sprinted. I didn't look back as I plunged into the perimeter of shifting trees and enveloping darkness. I could feel the heat of their presence grow as I ran, but an instinct guided me, and I barreled toward the bright glimmers of luminous flowers lighting up the path ahead. The forest twisted, branches snapping at my sides as I raced forward. I could hear them behind me, giggling in delight, their voices mingling with whispers that shook my resolve. They weren't just children, they were predators in this primal game. "Run," I thought, adrenaline coursing through me as the clearing neared. I could see it now, another way out. A flickering shimmer dangled beyond the trees, warm and inviting, yet it bristled with trepidation. As I broke onto the outskirts of the clearing, I came face to face with an ethereal scene that made my heart stop. There, glowing in the center, was a doorway, a shimmering arch framed by twinkling flowers and shimmering energy, pulsating like a heartbeat. Freedom? Everything inside me screamed to run through, to escape into whatever awaited me on the other side. But then there, poised in front of the doorway, was the child, their form shifting, standing guard. "You have to choose," they said, voice ringing out like a bell. The entire world shifted around me as shadows gathered, circling closer. The laughter swelled, radiating from all directions, pressing inward. "Choose?" I echoed, desperately searching for a path, my only thought to escape. "Stay," the child whispered, their form flickering. "Or go back. But you cannot stay the same." Time froze, the words wrapping around me like chains. The option felt impossible. Embrace this harrowing existence, or reject it, and return to the world beyond, filled with mundane struggles, beyond all I had faced here. But I yearned to escape. Anguish washed over me as I pushed past doubt and lunged toward the doorway, shoving the child aside as I plunged forward. A rush of light enveloped me, warmth wrapping around like an embrace as I barreled through the arch. The laughter faded, replaced by the crisp air of freedom. I stumbled into the clearing beyond, the prismatic glow abruptly overshadowed by the deep green of the forest I once knew. It was bright, yet it felt achingly still. I stood panting, the compass flickering in my palm before falling silent. And I realized I was free, yet the scars of my choice remained, pulsating in my heart. The echoes of laughter lingered like a haunting song that would follow me wherever I went, a bitter reminder that I would carry their shadows within me, an unanswered question lingering. Were they spirits of the lost or merely fragments of a darker reality I dared not understand? Now I can't help but wonder as evenings fall and the wind rustles through the trees what truly lies in the depths of the forest. And when the night calls, will I dare to return?